What up, Razzballers? Happy week 3, week 2 in the books and behind us. For the players actually left on our rosters, we got a big one for you tonight. It is Tuesday evening. You know what that means on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We got the waiver wire targets, we got trade targets, and do not draft list. Stick with us right now on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Guasco, joining you once again from the lab here at Candlestick Park. What is left of it anyway. We got Matty Stiles up on the top as well with my man, Jeff Kezar. That's Jefferson __21 and Stiles 08. You can find me at Sky Guasco. You can find everything Razzball at Razzball NFL. That's RAZZBALL on the Xbox. And you got us on the YouTube channel as well right here. If you're watching live for the video stream, please make sure to hit that bell, subscribe. Don't miss any of the action all season long. Not just our show, but we got shows for you every night. And those shows are also repurposed on the podcast. Anywhere you listen to your audio, you can find the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast show. And all of our articles, all of our writers, all of our incredible, unique tools to Razzball, like the slot versus wide tool, the home and away splits, many of our other, trade target analyzers, things like that are available at football.razzball.com. Jeff and Matt have both dropped articles here coming out this week. We got a lot going on here. We're going to start with the waivers per usual. And for anybody tuning in here, you can feel free to drop in the comments. Let us know your start sit question, but we will get to those only on Sundays. Maddie, let's start with you, my man. Who was your start of the week, or your not start of the week, the waiver wire pickup of the week, excuse me. And then who was your top dog at each position?
Well, number one, I'm concerned that Jamie's not here yet. We usually get Jamie as soon as we start. But to keep things on a positive note, you haven't realized, I don't think Jeff did either, when we do this try box, it's the 3 with facial hair. I just noticed it. I'm like, well, Sky's got his beard. And I looked over. I'm like, look what Jeff's got going on. It's nice. Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe we go beard.
Love it.
I don't know. I've just got, so this is, I'm letting grow out a little bit. But I mean, what do we, the other 3, if they ever get on, it's going to be the handsome quotient, right? It's going to just, so I think they're in trouble. But that's fine. And we can sign on with them and try to drive up their ratings a little bit.
I like that.
But I digress. Strike 2 for me tonight. I'm in the middle of the fantasy baseball championship week. I'm getting absolutely smashed. Imagine going up against a team that has Judge, Shohei, Bobby Witt.
It's a lot.
Oh, and he's got J-Rod. I forgot, who is terrible this year. But yeah, so I'm probably going to lose, but I'll cash this time. I beat Derek Favret to go into the finals by .0028 in whip.
Oof.
To go into the finals. Yeah, he's not. I actually haven't spoken to him in 2 days, so he's not real. He's not real happy. He's supposed to have dinner with Derek tomorrow. He's on business here in Florida, and the wife and I are going to meet him halfway and check out to see how he's living. Oh, look who just checked in! Epic fail. Love it. All right. So, Sky, you said who is the ad of the week? I'm a little bit nervous, right? We have to post our articles to you, the good editor. But we have to get those in earlier than some of the news that comes out. So my easy ad of the week was Carson Steele. Number 1, look at the flow. Great lettuce on Carson Steele.
Yeah. 2,
he has a pet alligator that lives with his parents in Indiana. Let that sink in. A pet alligator in Indiana. Fully grown now. It's like 10 years old or something. From there, that my concern came, I was listening to programs talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I didn't know that he wasn't really physically injured. He had more kind of he had some mental stuff going on, and so he's taken a little bit of a break, but he's still considered part of the team. So he could really come back at any time. He's not on the IR. They brought Kareem Hunt in yesterday. They signed him to the practice squad today. You know that guy can ball out when he's given the opportunity. So my concern is that I've told everybody, hey, go out and get Carson Steele. I'm putting in fab bids for Carson Steele. I like the way he runs. I know he's a fan favorite, but I wouldn't put anything past Andy Reid. So I'm going to stick with what the article says, but I would say the latest you can wait to put that fab in to get more info on Kareem Hunt or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, wait all the way until you go to bed tomorrow night before you put that waiver claim in and lock it in. From there, as far as running backs go, I really dig what we saw from Braylon Allen. I think he's got both standalone and implied value. 9 touches, 55 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Is he going to do that every week? Probably not. But if you are the person that rosters Breece Hall and you don't own Braylon Allen, you've made a mistake. You've got to have that insulation. Again, he's a bowling ball, right? He's a Mike Anderson type build. I think he can hold up. So I would add Braylon Allen as well, give him the chance. And then shout out to the Ducks. I don't know if you have a Ducks shirt on today. Normally you do.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks. Bucky Irving, Rachaad White got a little bit dinged up. He did come back, finish the game. But he is averaging currently under 1.9 yards a carry as Rachaad White. So Bucky Irving is another nice stash, especially if you roster our guy Rachaad White. I think the Bucks are winning right now. They're going to also figure this whole running back and third down pass catching back. And even if they split time, both have value. So consider Bucky Irving. Moving out of running back into quarterback, I'm not going to tell you to go buy Derek Carr. I just can't do it. He's in my article. I get it. Superflex, if you had Derek Carr and you took him really late, you're super happy. I don't know. So I'm leaning towards San Francisco 49er Hall of Famer Sam Darnold is the name that I'm
Sammy D.
Currently 13% rostered in Yahoo. You can get him probably for nothing if you wait till waivers run. But imagine poor Derek in the Raz Bowl. Derek has Drake May, Tua, Jordan Love.
Eesh.
So he's going to have to throw some money at Andy Dalton and probably Sam Darnold if he hasn't already been picked up. So rough situation as far as quarterbacks go. I'm going to lean Darnold mainly because Justin Jefferson, and we know that Brock Purdy and the Niners have lost CMC and they've lost Debo for an extended period of time. Pour a little bit out for what was the best offense in football. It may not be the best offense in football again. As far as wide receivers go, I don't know that I have the guts quite yet to trust him, but 2 touchdowns on 5 catches from Quentin Johnston for the Los Angeles Chargers is something we have to perk up and pay attention to. I wouldn't pay a lot of money for him on Fab. I think somebody probably will, especially if they have Amon-Ra or Justin Jefferson or Debo or any of these other wide receivers that got dinged up, Cooper Kupp, oh, God, Puka. Can you imagine? It's a Hall of Fame roster, really, when you look at injuries that have come out of the first 2 weeks. Other than that, the guy I kind of like, but you can't get him on the cheap anymore, is Demarcus Robinson. So if you shoot for Demarcus, don't get him. Put a lower bid in, dropping the same player, and look at Tyler Johnson. Tight ends, we'll do real quick. I'll just give you 2 names that I like. Shout out to Bob for the Mike Gesicki call on Sunday, and Hunter Henry. My guess is Hunter Henry will go for a lot more, and you might be able to get Gesicki for free or on the cheap at the end. With that, I will turn it back over to you, or we can talk about any of those names that we've got there.
Nice. You froze up a little bit on your running back. Just give me the running back name, please.
The running back name for me is Carson Steele, followed by Braylon Allen and Bucky Irving. I'd put the most fab towards Carson Steele at this point.
How much fab are you putting? Epic Fail asks us for a number.
I would go probably 20%, maybe 25%.
All right. Epic Fail, 20% there on Carson Steele. And then you got Kareem Hunt as well. Remember that 2017 against the Patriots opening night as a rookie. He crushed 1,400 rushing yards that year for a rushing title. Awesome by the kid. And then, of course, had an injury and some off-field issues. And c'est la vie. For the rest of you tuning in here, feel free to jump into the comments if you'd like to. Again, this is the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We got waiver ads, trade targets, and do not drop list. Jeff, I'm going to go to you. Who do you got on the do not drop list? We got a lot of injuries, so I can't imagine you're dropping a single player on your roster anyway. But who are the guys that you definitely cannot get rid of yet?
Yeah, so I was looking at players that are owned and are 80% owned roughly in that tier range, and a lot of these guys surprisingly were in the thousands already being dropped in Yahoo. And the first one that stood out to me is Deontay Johnson. I think people prematurely dropped him before the Andy Dalton news. Not saying Andy Dalton's going to be the second coming, but I do think he's going to be a lot better than Bryce Young. I like to call him Uncle Andy. He's just a professional backup, but he gets the job done. One game last season, he threw in week 3 for 361 against the Seahawks, and both receivers saw 14 and 11 targets individually. And so I know that was a different regime and offensive scheme, though, but I still think the offense is going to run through Deontay Johnson, and I think he'll see at least 8 targets a game, which is what when Andy was a starter back in 22 in New Orleans, that's what Chris Olave got, and he finished as receiver 27. So I know it's been really rough if you own any Panthers, but don't give up hope yet on Deontay Johnson. And if he maintains the starter when Jonathan Brooks comes back, I do think the offense in Carolina will be a little better. So I think Deontay is in like 78% owned now, but I just don't see what other options are out there that are better than him at this point. Kind of sticking on the same trend. This is affects my Jags directly, but it's Christian Kirk. He's had a rough 2 first games of the year. Jags have looked pretty bad. Can't really deny that. But Evan Ingram has a hamstring injury right now. So I know Strange came in there and played well against the Browns, but I do think Kirk will get more targets. I mean, he's seen 3 and 4 targets in both week 1 and week 4, and I don't see those targets staying that low. He did actually catch a touchdown in week 2, but it was called back. So, and it was a really crappy weather game in Jacksonville. So I do think Kirk will have better days ahead. I know he may not be the receiver 1 now. Looks like Brian Thomas has taken that mantle now, which is okay. But I think their schedule is more favorable moving forward. So I think he's a good stash on the bench until the Jags kind of get it going. So don't drop him too early still. Last one that I have here looking at him, he's also being dropped more than I thought he would be, but that's Rasball's favorite and our own Zamir White. People are letting him go already, and I was pretty surprised. And when you look under the hood, there's really I thought Madison was getting a lot more touches. Not really. White has 27 touches to Madison's 13 through 2 weeks, so 2-1 there. And the only thing is going that Madison does have both touchdowns in week 1 of passing, and then he vultured one in week 2. But I just don't think it's time to get rid of Zamir White because I don't know who you're going to get that's better. Like Braylon Allen looks good, but he's the backup. I don't think he's going to see as much volume as Zamir White over the season. And then looking at week 2, he played 40 snaps compared to Madison's 14. So if that trend continues, White should get more touches and keep that. And then when looking at running backs, we haven't made it to bye season yet. So why are we dropping starting running backs quite yet? I don't understand. So sit tight and just watch this Raiders offense get better because Brock Bowers is kind of emerging. Devontae's doing his thing. I know we talked about Devontae being, still a great receiver. So I think the Raiders may look better as the season goes along.
I love that. Couple points there, Jeff and Matt. I'm going to get your thoughts here in a second. We do have a couple questions coming in here. Epic Fail has a few of them. One on the screen we'll get to in a second, and Juan Pena Jr. coming in with one as well. Stick with us, Juan. We'll get right to you, buddy. A couple things here. The Raiders just can't run the ball yet. Minshew is actually lighting up the leagues. He's 3rd in passing yards, folks. Nobody would have guessed that necessarily coming up. Devontae, who we'll talk about here in a second in the trade buy sell segment. I'll talk about Devontae here in a second, but we're not surprised what he can do. We just want to make sure it's consistent. But they just can't run the ball. But Zamir White is the top dog. And Jeff, you're absolutely right. You cannot let go of starting running backs no matter how good or bad they are right now because of what running back usually does to us in the season. So that is a little bit perplexing to me, and the Raiders are playing well as of now. So make sure to hold on to those guys. Epic Fail. We're not going to get through this entire list here, but what we are going to do is Matt, Jeff, and I, after the show here, we will post up a tweet. Each of us will post up a tweet. It'll just take a second, and we're going to have a list of our guys that we talk about tonight. You can go read the articles on the football.rasball.com for the actual analysis again to get back into what we're saying right now, because it's obviously a lot. But what we're going to do is we're going to drop a tweet from each of our handles of our actual players for do not drop, trade for, and away, and also for the waiver wire pickups, so that you have a little cheat sheet there, and then you can go to our articles and make sure you pick up the rest of that. So great question, Epic Fail, and we always appreciate you chiming in there. Before I get to mine here and I go with a buy-sell segment, I want to bring up Juan Pena Jr. It's a lot going on here. It's kind of a start-sit question. Juan, if you're unfamiliar, we do a start-sit show on Sunday mornings pregame for 2 hours. So we kick that off at 8 a.m. Pacific, excuse me. That is 11 a.m. Eastern time. Right here on the YouTube channel for Razzball. We get 4, 5, 6 of us analysts from Razzball here to go over all of the start-sit questions. So those of you with start-sit questions, we're happy to do that this week early, but we always need more information. So Sunday morning really is the best time, unless, of course, they play on Thursdays. But Stiles, I'm going to go to you here first, then we'll go to Jeff and back to myself, and then we'll get into the trade segment. Who for my wide receiver 1 and 2, running back 1 and 2, and flex? So, gentlemen, we're setting a roster. 5 players, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Juan, we will do it. And also, Juan, something that would really help us, you can do it to us quickly if you're listening, would be to let us know your league settings. Are you a half PPR, full PPR, super flex, something like that helps us narrow it down a little bit. You guys see all the names on the list. I'll blast them quick for the podcast people, but start devising your roster of 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. We're going to go half PPR unless Juan chimes in. We got Alec Pierce, DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Calvin Ridley, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Williams, Jerome Ford, Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, and Kenneth Walker. A lot of solid names here, but it is week 2. Some of these guys are up and down in the wrong direction. So, Stiles, I'm going to go to you first. Let's just go with the half PPR for now. Let's set Juan's roster.
Half PPR, I'm going to go DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley at wide receiver. I'm going to go Breece Hall, Kyron Williams at running back, and I'm going to go Josh Jacobs at flex.
All righty. Jeff?
Yeah, I'm going to go running backs, starting Breece Hall, Jacobs, Kenneth Walker. As long as he's healthy, that's the question. I put him at my flex. Then starting receivers, I'm going to go DJ Moore and Tank Dell.
Ooh, Tank Dell. Calvin Ridley's been playing really well the first 2 weeks. I'm going to stick with Stiles on that. I'm going to go Ridley. He was my dog last year and kind of just came up short on some touchdowns. So I'll go Calvin Ridley. I also like DJ Moore, but so far Matt and I are the only people in the entire industry who faded Caleb Williams, and we look like geniuses right now, but I'll just keep my mouth shut on that, but not actually. Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore as my wide receivers. I'm also going to go Breece Hall, and I'm going to go Josh Jacobs, actually. I don't trust the Rams offense. They don't have any wide receivers except for Demarcus Robinson, who, by the way, Maddie's called last week before it was cool. So we like to give shout outs when we can give shout outs. And then I'm with you. Jeff and Matt, I'm going to split the difference here. I'm going to go Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs. If Kenneth Walker's healthy, I'll go Kenneth Walker. If not, I'll go Kyron Williams. I'd rather go Breece, Jacobs, Walker, Williams personally, but we'll see what happens over the Seahawks.
And this might be with those running backs that he's got, right? Even counting Jerome Ford. Let's see. Maybe he gets an uptick in his carries, and maybe week 2 is just a unicorn, right? An aberration. You can trade Kyron Williams right now for more than he's worth in that offense right now.
Yeah. Yep.
I know that's Bob's guy, but if you want to move Kyron Williams, now he's going to have more value than he will when they start stacking the box against him. So now's the time to move him. Maybe you can throw in, Jacoby Myers or Jeudy and come away with a better receiver for your starting core.
Yeah, the problem is with Kyron Williams, he was going to be one of my sell targets, but he was last week, so I'd like to not double up if I don't have to. But 18 carries for 50 yards. He did have a touchdown. He played on 91% of snaps. That's hard to beat as a running back. But man, with Puka and Kupp going down and Higbee out as well, Stafford just not playing very well, this offense is just going to have a real hard time. So yes, he's going to get a ton of work. We love volume at running back no matter what. But are we going to get better results ultimately with your other running backs there, Juan? And I think that we will. Another running back question here, and we'll get into the trade segment. Houston running back situation. Joe Mixon, massive week 1, a bit dinged up now. Is it worth picking up Cam Akers or Dameon Pierce? Or do you think Mixon won't miss any time regardless? It's week 2. We have a ton of injuries. It might already be handcuff season no matter what. Jeff, I'll go to you first on this one.
Yeah, I think Dameon Pierce is the backup, but he was hurt going into week 2, so Akers got the chance and he fumbled. So I would choose Pierce, provided he's healthy. This is a tough one because just don't know health of anybody, but if I had to make a choice, I'd lean towards Dameon Pierce.
Sally?
Probably the same for me. I don't think Mixon's going to miss significant time, but I think he's a starting running back in the NFL. That sounds smart. So he's going to miss time at one point or the other, just like everybody will, right? I mean, we saw Marshawn Lloyd look great on one carry. He's on the IR today.
Yeah.
These guys are going to miss time. It's going to happen. Derek always makes the point, or at least to me, I don't know if he does it on the show. The less time these guys have in camp and the less time they're actually playing at game speed, whether it be in practice or preseason games, soft tissue is a thing. And for anybody that's ever had a soft tissue issue, that rhymes, right? Freestyle rap on this end. It happens, and you can't shake it. They're going to be in a boot for a while. I mean, they've got the best medical care in the world, but it takes a long time for soft tissue to heal. There's no broken bone that you can put a plate in. It heals when it does. So I think I lean Pierce as well. With that being said, if anybody's going to get picked up on waivers, it's going to be Akers, because most of your competition doesn't even know who Dameon Pierce is anymore. Let them pay their fab for Akers. You keep watching the news until later in the week, and if Pierce is healthy, you drop whoever you were going to drop, and you pay zero fab for Pierce.
I like it. I like that call a lot. And again, Dameon Pierce was nice as a rookie, right? He just came out flat last year, and we kind of threw him out. But I mean, he's a decent back, and that offense is humming no matter what. And we want parts of high quality offenses. So if I can get a piece of Houston no matter what for free stashes, I would do that after waivers clear. But again, save your fab and don't go crazy on those guys just yet. Matt, before we proceed, this is important for the OGs out there. You just had a freestyle rap, which we appreciate. We all know you're a classic rock guy. You're a 90s rock guy. Shouts out to Pearl Jam and the family. Quick ranking off the top. I didn't look at your rankings pre-show, so this is news to me. Putting you on the spot, rank these three. We have Wu-Tang Clan, we have NWA, and we'll go Public Enemy. 1, 2, 3. Who you got?
I'm going to go NWA, Wu-Tang Clan, and Public Enemy.
All right. Wow. Protect Your Neck coming up number 2. We'll see what happens next time on the show, folks. All right, we got trade targets
only
now.
Because NWA led the way. That's the only reason.
Yeah, fair. So it's a respectful shout out to the OG of the OGs.
Yeah, I think overall longevity, they've got it, but Wu-Tang is really just a sick conglomerate. Shout out to Raekwon.
Oh, I mean, shouts out to Ghostface as well. I mean, many actors within that group as well, but perhaps
shout out to ODB and all of his kids that he doesn't pay child support for, or didn't.
Correct. Didn't.
Support.
Yes. All right. RIP to ODB. All right. We got buy sells coming up here for everybody tuning in. We are the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We got Jefferson at Jefferson __21. We got Matty Stiles at Stiles 08. My name is Sky Guasco. You can see our handles here on the board. You can hear them on the podcast. Check out after the show. We're going to be listing our players really quickly as a teaser, but go to the website, football.razzball.com, for the actual analysis on these players. I'm going to blast out a handful of buys. I'm going to get you guys' thoughts quick, and then I'll go to sells, and we're going to get out of here. Any other start sit questions or trade questions, now would be the time to put them in the comments section. All right, my buy right now at quarterback position, I have one per position. Anthony Richardson. I drafted this guy everywhere. Hasn't happened yet. I still believe that it will. Again, coming off of an injury, I do think it is coming soon. Buy low while you can. 17 of 34 for 204 and 3 picks. Horrendous. Still has the rushing upside. See Daniel Jones. This dude can still put up 25 rushing yards, right? Or 25 fantasy points on the ground with a rushing touchdown, has a couple of weapons. I think Anthony Richardson can be just fine. Buy him low if you're able to right now. Trevor Lawrence, I would get rid of. Deshaun Watson by name if you can. I would even do like Patrick Mahomes for like Richardson and a piece if you possibly can. Mahomes has not thrown for 20 plus fantasy points more than 3 times in 25 games, folks. That's not a lie. So Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, but not in fantasy.
Say that again. What was that stat? Did I miss it?
Patrick Mahomes has no more than 20 fantasy points in 3 games over the last 25. Whew. So he's Patrick Mahomes on the field, and he will win all the games. But he's not putting up 40 burgers for you in fantasy football. Running back position, Breece Hall, great receiving touchdown. As we know, I saw an interview with Aaron Rodgers after the game where he was basically like, Breece was like, if there's a running back on me on the outside, throw me a go ball. I'm going to smoke this fool. Rodgers was like, okay, sounds like a Jordy Nelson thing to do. He did it. up top, easy peasy, got that touchdown. Now he got smoked twice, as Matt said earlier, but Breece Hall is that guy. He can make any big play. He's somebody that maybe you can buy low on right now because people are a little bit nervous about Braden Allen, which they should be. He's solid, but Breece Hall is definitely that dog. So with all the running backs going down, try to make a move there. One of my favorite young players in the NFL was kind of ghosted last year, still not talked about yet in 2 weeks, but absolutely crushing up north in Seattle. Jackson Smith-Njigba, highest target rate on the team last week. DK is also killing it. Tyler Lockett had a nice week 1, but 12 for 117 from JSN, and he's not the one talked about in Seattle. This offense is humming. Geno's playing well enough. Go get a piece of it. JSN is probably the cheapest piece right now. And I got to throw a shout out to Dalton Kincaid for my boys. Not playing well yet, but just like Anthony Richardson, I think the tide is coming. Get ahead of it. When you're buying somebody low, you need to like take the risk that they're going to turn it on. That's what buying low means. You can't wait till they blow up because then you're paying too much for them. So 75% route participation. We love that for tight ends. And let's be honest, including Taysom Hill, any tight end that is getting work and snaps is worth a roster spot most likely. So go look at Dalton Kincaid. He might be a cheap buy right now and still should be in that top 6 conversation of tight ends in fantasy football. Gentlemen, I have Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Dalton Kincaid as my buy low candidates right now. Stiles, 30 seconds or less. Quick thoughts.
I saw an interesting post today that said if you lost Cooper Kupp to injury, why not just add Cooper Kupp? And when you scroll down, the photo is of number 11 in Seattle. And I went back and watched some of the footage, and I thought, dude may be onto something. Yeah, JSN for sure. And Dalton Kincaid, this is the last week you're going to be able to buy low.
I agree. Jeff, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree on Kincaid. Great buy low time. Tight ends have not been very good right now, so this is a good buy low time for him. And then JSN's a great call. Him and DK are doing great things. In my takeaway article, those two are the only 2 receivers thus far at this point of the season to each catch double-digit catches, 100 yards and a touchdown in the same game. So they're doing big things in Seattle, so it's a great time to buy on them right now.
Love that. Want a piece of that offense. We just got to get Kenny Walker healthy for like 4 games in a row, bro. Hook it up. Let's go. All right. Sells. This is not what we like to have, but if you're trying to move some of those guys and trying to acquire some of those guys, here are some bigger names maybe you can move for them. I'm not saying to just get rid of them. Obviously, I feel like I have to caveat every time. Don't just dump these players, but consider selling them high if you have another player to bring on your side. Josh Allen, just simply because he's not getting the goal line work, right? Awesome for James Cook. We wanted this to happen. Derek said it was going to happen. It is happening. We love that for him, but it's not happening for Josh Allen. He's not blowing the league out to the first 2 weeks. So he might be a buy low also, depending on your team. But I think he's also a sell based on name and the fact that he's been a 1 or 2 in fantasy for the last handful of seasons. So if you have another option or a backup or something like that, you did well drafting a secondary guy. You got Minshew or something like that crazy, and the rest of your roster is ready to go. You can patch a few holes with Josh Allen potentially selling him off. So Josh Allen would be my quarterback to look to sell, but don't give him away. Jerome Ford, 7 for 64, not bad, but Deontay Foreman, 14 for 42. Ford had more yards. Deontay Foreman had twice as many touches. Don't love that. I don't trust the offense. Watson's playing horrible. Jameis Winston's fun, but what are we actually going to get from the running backs when Jameis comes in? We're going to get go balls, so Amari Cooper might actually play, but I don't know that it's going to help the running backs at all. So Jerome Ford's a guy that I'm looking to get off of. Keep Nick Chubb on your IR if you've been doing that, but Deontay Foreman's maybe a pickup if you need a backup, but I don't want the Browns running backs right now. Devontae Adams. The only guy that loves Devontae Adams more than me is up top of the screen and Matty Stiles. Love this guy so much. He's incredible, 9 for 110 and 1, but this is a sell high opportunity. Minshew's playing out of his mind. He's doing great. I don't want him coming back down to earth. If you can trade Devontae for 2 or 3 pieces because we have so many injuries across the league, or maybe an upstart guy like Jackson Smith-Njigba and a piece for Devontae Adams, I would look to go do that right now. Don't give him away. I love Devontae. You're going to be fine if you keep him on your roster. But if you can make a move for a few different players, he's a name to be looking at. And tight ends kind of a cop-out. You can't really sell any active tight ends. So I'm going to bail on that one because anybody worth their salt is worth being on your team. So those are my players there. Josh Allen, Jerome Ford, and Devontae Adams as my sell. Jeff, I'll start with you there.
Yeah, I like to sell in Josh Allen. I like Allen, but I think, he's going to have a regression. And if he's not getting those goal line carries with that receiving core, It's a good time for that. I'm surprised on Devontae Adams. They're selling him. That's caught me by surprise, but I like that. I can definitely see that as a good time to buy on him right now. We'll get rid of him if you can.
I'll just throw this out there. Super hypothetical, but like the only reason I would sell Devontae Adams, I have a Devontae and I have Cooper Kupp, right, or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, look, I mean, I need to fill Cooper somehow. So I go move to get like Jackson Smith and Jigba to fill Cooper, but Devontae's name is so much higher than JSN. So I can get a secondary guy. I can get somebody who's like playing well also at another position. Maybe it's an upstart tight end or something like that. I can make a couple pieces for Devontae. That's what I want to do. You know, you're not just giving away a top 10 wide receiver, but of the guys like that, I think you can move him right now. And who knows what Minshew is actually going to be long-term, what the Raiders offense will be long-term. If they start running the ball they want to, maybe that takes a little bit away. So just want to throw that out there. That don't give away Devontae, obviously, but he's just a name I'm throwing out. Matt, go ahead.
I'm contractually obligated to not participate in any discussion that mentions to trade away Devontae Adams. So I will be abstaining. My vote is present.
Nice. I think come November, that's a plead the fifth, I believe.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, that's the old political thing to do. Like, I don't have anything to say, so I won't say anything at all. I love that. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. We do have a couple more questions that have been trickling in, but we've got to pretty much all of them. So I just want to remind everybody that Sunday mornings, the Sunday Live Start Sit Show. A lot of fun here for us. We got a lot of analysts coming on the screen. We have special guests from time to time. We got an injury report. We have the weather reports when they start coming into reality for us. We also have all of your trade targets and your start sit questions. We have 2 hours of that rapid fire. We also have a super chat feature, folks. So if you want to get your question in and out, feel free to make a contribution, whatever you think is necessary for our show. All of that goes back to the show here. So we appreciate any contributions, but we'll move your question right to the front of the line. Otherwise, it does take some time sometimes to get your questions answered when we get on rants and raves like we tend to do on the program. So without any further thoughts here, I'll go round robin. Any quick thoughts for week 3? Otherwise, we'll get out of here. Jeff, we'll start with you.
I think Tony Pollard is going to be an RB1 this week. Your Packers, Maddie, you can run on them, and I think they're going to do it this week. Tony
Pollard, top 12 running back. I love it. Stiles.
Jordan Love plays in week 3. They drop a 40 burger on Tennessee.
Tony Pollard goes for 210 and 4 touchdowns, but Jordan Love goes for 305 touchdowns. Packers win. That's what I heard.
And remember, we've got guess the hat today. I think Jeff's is that the A's hat again?
Yeah. It's end of the season. You know, it's the sad time for Oakland right now.
You got to pour one out for Oakland, man. I'm a Bay boy at heart. Obviously, I'm a San Francisco kid. We're raised not to hate Oakland. We're all family in the Bay, but it's like you don't root for the A's, you root for the Giants. That's how it goes. But man, it is a sad time, I got to say, in Oakland. My pops and I used to go in the early 90s, right after the Bash Bros era, basically. But we used to go down there, $2 tickets, $2 hot dogs, $2 popcorns. It was still like $17 beers or whatever. But we can go in there, walk wherever we want because we're kids and watch the ball game. Went right behind the dugout one day. They're playing the White Sox, and Frank Thomas came out to go on deck circle. Still today, the biggest human being I've ever been within 20 feet of. Like, the dude was just absolute animal, rocking the Reeboks. Big Hurt was a beast. Maddie, let's guess yours. Baseball, obviously.
It looks brown.
I see black every time on my screens here? Yeah, black. He's got the black top there.
Yeah. Nope.
It's not.
Navy
blue.
Yep.
Is that Tampa?
It looks a little silver to me. I'm gonna go way left. Oh, Tampa Bay. Didn't even get it. Got the reveal. I was gonna go White Sox randomly.
Jeff nailed it.
Yeah, he's in Florida. I should have gone Florida. That makes sense. Matt, if you can, I've got one buried somewhere. I'll try to wear it here. The teal, the old school teal Marlins hat with the F and the fish.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all time in baseball.
That's the one of the few stadiums I have not been to. I got to get down there. I'm not a big fan of that area, but it's on the list. I got to go check it off. It's supposedly a beautiful stadium in a really raunchy town. So
I'll tell you, Matt, have a couple Cubanos. Be real careful, but have a couple Cubanos, and then if you wear just fishnets, like literally nothing else except for a Marlins hat and fishnets, You're gonna fit right in, man, and nobody will give you a hard time in Miami. You'll be fine.
There you go. I'll write that down. Fishnets.
Fishnets only with a hat because it's warm enough. You don't have to wear anything else. You'll be just fine.
One word or two, fishnets.
Fishnets, I think, is one word. Yeah. Not fish nets. Fishnets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I grew up in Seattle, right? So fishing nets are different than fishnets, I believe.
Yeah. If you Google fishnets Miami, it may not be suitable for television. I'll just put it that way. All right, folks, that's going to end our show here before we get in trouble. I'm your host, Sky Guasco. We got Jefferson __Deuce1. And of course, Maddie. Go onto the Xbox and make sure that you check all of our lists here. We're going to have your players and who we mentioned. And then you can go right to the website, football.rasball.com, for all of our analysis. Hit the Xbox, Rasball NFL. You can subscribe right here on the YouTube channel and get the podcast downloaded while you're on the go, the Rasball Fantasy Football Podcast. We appreciate y'all chiming in with us once again. We will catch you next time, and we will see you on Sunday morning. Have a good evening, Epic Fail and Juan and everybody else. We'll catch you next time on the Rasball Fantasy Football Show. We are out of here.